Hello, welcome back to the channel. So I am starting a new series in this channel, especially for the mobile app developers. So in this series, I will show how React Native developers can use Claude Code to build projects faster and more efficient using AI workflow. So Claude Code, it is of course primarily a CLI tool that generates code with the help of AI. And it's totally up to you. You can use it for just type coding, or you can also do agentic engineering with the help of Claude Code. But if you are doing agentic engineering with it, which means you stay in control. You may still generate the vast amount of your code with the help of AI, but you give the AI pretty clear instruction about which rules to follow, which libraries to use, which patterns to use also. You will review the code as well and so on. In this course, I will teach you how you can efficiently use Claude Code. But of course, my main goal is to show you some features you might not use before. And also, I will give you all the tools you need to increase your chances of producing high quality code with AI and Claude Code. So we will start by first diving into the setup, configurations, and some important settings you should be aware of that can easily be missed. And here already you will see some way of using that you might not know even though you have used it in the past already. Thereafter, we will move more deeper into the Claude Code and we will explore all these advanced core features. And of course, it is then up to you whether you want to use them or not, but we will talk about efficient context management, like starting a new session and when to start a new session and how to manage the memory across these sessions. Also, we will dive into building sub-agents, like what they are, when to use them. Then we will dive into agent skills and when you should use those skills and how to build good skills, and all these important things we are going to cover in this course. Then as a part of this course, we will also dive into some more advanced and also kind of niche features. You could say we will explore Claude Code hooks, what they are, how to build them. We will also explore the concept behind plugins as well. And throughout the course, actually, I will share some patterns and some use cases where Claude shines and where certain features of Claude Code can be useful, so that by the end of the course, you will have a good understanding of Claude Code and you can use this knowledge in your future projects. Let's start with the setup. So Claude Code is available for all the operating systems, and this is the Claude Code documentation link, and here you will find some commands for Windows and Mac as well that you can simply copy and paste to install Claude Code on your system. So right now I am in a new project in Anti-Gravity, but you can also use Cursor or Visual Studio Code. It is all up to you, because the thing that really matter in this course is how we can use Claude Code in our editors. So here, let me tell you, I have just created a simple React Native project. I will attach documentation link if you also want to create React Native project. So whether it is a mobile app or a web app, the process of connecting Claude Code with these editors are almost same. So now my plan is to run Claude Code inside the Anti-Gravity, or maybe in your case, it can be Cursor or it can be Visual Studio Code. So any editor actually uses its built-in integration. That's why we are using the Claude Code extension for Claude Code to interact with the Anti-Gravity. Same you have to do with the Cursor or with the Visual Studio Code as well. In my case, I am using Anti-Gravity. So now I am going to search this extension from here. Just type Claude, click on that, and install this extension. In my case, I already installed this extension. So now in the future, you should get this integration in any of your new project. Now let's open the terminal and run command Claude. So the first time you run this command, you will see a warning here. Whether this warning is whether you trust this file or folder or not. Of course, this is a very important, because Claude Code will operate your entire project. It means Claude Code will execute certain commands and it reads and writes the code in your project. So always very much carefully check the warnings and then click the options. So here let's select yes. And just by saying yes, I will proceed, and then we are finally inside the Claude Code. Now what I will do here, is I will start my development server first so that we can run this project and can see the initial default screen of this project. So let's add a new terminal. Click on this plus button and run command yarn iOS. It will open iOS simulator. So here is the starting screen of this project. There are two tabs, home and explore. Now let's go back to the Claude Code session. Let's give a prompt here. So let's say I'm writing here that I want one more tab. So add profile tab as a third tab. Now it start reading the files, all the files in our bundle. It's reading 2 files. So if you take a look at what it did, it searched through the code base. Ask, do you want to make this added to icon symbol.tsx file? Say yes. Next, Claude Code asking, do you want to make this added or this change in layout.tsx file? So press yes. You can see Claude Code add few lines of code specifically for the profile tab. So again, Claude Code asks, do you want to make this added to profile.tsx file? Yes, profile.tsx file is the new screen which Claude Code has been created. So Claude Code is done with the changes, and now just reload the application. Let's open the simulator, and here you can see Claude Code added third profile tab. So what happened here is it opened up this code comparison tool that anti-gravity also uses for comparisons. Comparisons like Git, like commit changes, like current code changes. And on the left side, this is the original code before Claude Code did something to it. And on the right side, we can see the new version of that file. I mean the current changes that we did using Claude Code. So here we can clearly see that Claude Code added few lines of code just by pressing yes. We accept these changes. What we can revert all these changes if we are not getting our output just by using the key combination of Command Z in Mac and Control Z key combination in Windows. So what I mean is we can revert these changes very, very easily. We can also, we can see this discard changes icon. So by pressing this, we can discard these changes. We can revert these changes. So one more thing is, many bytecoders don't like terminal for prompting. So you can also use Claude Code from outside the terminal. Here, if you click on this button, this search button, here, let's search Claude Code. And here you can see, select this focus input. If you click on the focus input, then it will open up a new window which allow you to have conversation, to start the conversation. Now you can share your prompt here. You can attach any file here from your system. Also, you can add context, means these are the files that exist in your project bundle. You can directly select these files and you can perform any task directly from this conversation window. There is one more option. If you have any browser tab, then you can also perform any task directly from this conversation window. You can also drag the images directly from here. You can also pick any image from your system and you can perform any action, any change directly from this chat window. So we will get back to that later in the course. And yes, the conversation window work in all the editors, no matter what you are using. But I like using terminal. So in this course, I will show everything using terminal. As we know that Claude Code is a command line interface, we run it through the commands inside the terminal. But beside the CLI and IDE integration, Claude Code also comes as a desktop application. This is the link, and here you will find the download links for macOS and for Windows. And once you install the application and did login, you will see something like this. And this app actually offers different modes. Like this app offers a regular chat mode, which is essentially like the ChatGPT. The second mode is Claude Cowork, and this is act like a desktop agent. You can attach any file or folders from your desktop. For example, you can see here, you can choose any file, any folder from your system. For example, let's go to the documents and let's select any folder. For example, let's say I am here choosing settle up folder and allow Claude to change files in setup. It is asking for the permission. Allow it. You can deselect and select the one in which you want to do work. In my case, I am choosing setup. There is one more thing you can say ask. So there is two major actions. First is ask before acting. Directly means that Claude will wait for your approval. Second is act without asking. It means Claude work without asking your approval. So yes, it can handle your files. Now third mode is Claude Code. It is terminal-based coding agent performing dev tasks straight from the CLI. Here you can also see new session button where you can select any folder or you can also create a new one, and here also you can select any folder from your system, from your directories. You can also open the project, any of your project, and you can do prompting here and describe your task here and dispatch the task to Claude Code by using this desktop application. But yes, we will come back to this later in the course, because in this course we will focus on the command line interface because most of the developers are working with CLI. Of course, you can also use desktop application which I described in this section instead of CLI. But my recommendation is to work with CLI. So the setup is the first important step and the base usage we also saw already. But what's also important is the configuring Claude Code or knowing how to configure it. So a user can configure it at different levels, including globally on the system or individually within the project. And you can even configure it for all your team members. But here we will focus on the individual installations. So you can configure it globally. For example, here on Mac, I have this global Claude folder on my system user home directory. So let's just open the Finder. So this is my home directory, and here you can see there is a folder Claude, and you can see a bunch of stuff here, but we will check the setting.json file, and when you open this setting.json file, you will be able to set up some global settings. So now let's come back to the Claude Code session. I'm in here and run command/config. This is the config menu. Okay, so by running command/config, it will bring up that configuration menu. You can change any configuration while you are here. For example, if you want to change the theme, then you can see there is another menu. Dark mode you can select, light mode you can select, but there is one more, auto mode, but I don't want any change in the theme. I like the theme in the dark mode. Here you can change other settings too. For example, if you want to save tokens and you don't have complex tasks, then you could just turn off the thinking mode. So here you will find out the configurations. For example, I want to turn off the thinking mode. This is the thinking mode, which is true by default. So I am just turning off this thinking mode. This is false, and let's select this. So I made this change in my Cloud CLI, and remember, whenever you change your configuration setting from here, from the terminal, then that change will set on the global setting file immediately. But I switch always thinking enable back to true because I want Claude Code in thinking mode. So again, you can directly change it just by typing true, or you can also configuration, and here you can find out the theme option, and here you can find out the thinking mode, and just enable this thinking mode and press enter. So one setting which I find important, which is not set by default, and that is the permission setting here. Here you can allow or deny certain things. For example, if you want to deny Claude Code reading your environment files, or if you might be keeping secret some kind of might be keys or some kind of sensitive informations that you don't want Claude Code to read that, then the permission system works in that case. So there are various built-in tools like read, write, and bash which allow Claude understand execution. But you have to mention which file you want to deny using these tools. Now the other most important thing is there is another place where setting can be stored, and that is inside your project folder. Here just cross this and let's create a new folder here. Claude is the new folder. And inside this Claude folder, create a new file named as setting.json. Let's take one more file, setting.local.json. So in this setting.json file, you can set up Claude settings, which are global settings for this particular project. You can also add a setting local.json file that I have created just below this setting.json, which will be a project specific setting file that will override the global settings and the settings that you have right inside this setting.json. So the benefit of this is that it is not a part of your GitHub repository. For example, if you are in a team, you are working with a team and you are working on a live project, then these settings are with a part of that particular project specific. So here we have the base usage. I know we have discussed already this section, but there is a bit more information that I think we should discuss. So let's come back to the Claude Code session. This is the Claude Code session. And if you notice, if you just type / you can see number of commands here. And remember, these commands changes over time. New commands are added and some old commands are deprecated. So one important command is the clear command. I just run this command /clear, which I already run. So what /clear command is doing? See, this clear command clear the context window which is related to the previous session. Of course, when you clear a session, that clearly means that you want to free up the context memory and you want to start a new session. And if you find out that, anytime if you find out that the AI agent got stuck and you can't figure out or fix the problems, even at that time, you can run /clear command so that you can start a new session. So you can start a new session from here, or also you can start a new session from here just by clicking on this plus button. So you can create multiple Claude Code sessions on the same project. You can control these AI assistant through these different sessions. You can also assign multiple file changes to these different sessions. There is one more tool that I want to show you. Just type /context, press enter. Here you can see the current model Opus 4.7 and it has one context window. This command /context will tell you how the context window for this session is currently being used or occupied. So here you can check the various distribution for this particular session. You can also check the current model, AI model, and this is Opus 4.7, which has one context window. Also, you can check the free space available, and there is one more auto compact buffer. Also, interestingly, there is one more command /usage, and just by entering this command, you can see the remaining usage per your Claude Code plan. So here we can see that this current session, because obviously we cleared the previous session, this is the fresh session. So it only use 1%, and in the whole week 15% is used. And remember, using /usage command, you can see how hard you can go on Claude Code. And if usage is no longer left, then you have to pay for the extra usage. Now let's talk about the most basic feature, or that could be the doubt of many, that you want to invoke the Claude Code by typing Claude text, and then without hitting the enter button, you start writing your prompt right after the Claude text. For example, here I'm writing a prompt like explain the full structure of this project. Press enter. Now it starts running the Claude and it asks me that what would you like me to explain? A few possibilities Claude suggests. So here I want overall project structure explanation. So I select option second, press enter. Now it starts reading the files. It starts generating the answer. So Claude basically explore all the folders inside this project. For example, here I can say that Claude read the app folder and all the TSX files inside these folders. So this is the outcome of my prompt. So Claude Code can do very powerful things. For example, if you want to ask some questions without being stuck in the CLI mode, then you could run that command with -p flag. So here, if I run the same prompt by adding -p flag just before the prompt, explain the overall structure of this project, then press enter. Then this command still run the Claude Code, but in the background without opening the CLI. It still do the same thing, but in the background. Here we can see the output. Claude read all the files that are in my project bundle. Last but not the least, it is also very important to know that sometimes your editor crashed, or sometimes you accidentally closed the Claude Code, or you just need to go back to an older sessions. Then you can do that using the resume command inside your Claude Code session. For example, here, if I call resume command, then here you will see number of older sessions. And here I can jump to any of the sessions. Like right now, I am selecting this, and this is the profile editing session. And you can continue there with all the context that belong to this particular session. So which is really super useful command. So if you know that you just want to continue with the last session you interacted with, then you can just start Claude Code with the -c command, and you can start work on with that last session. For example, here, if I run Claude -c, Claude -c command, then you can say in the last command, I chose this older session, profile session. So this was the last session in my case. Therefore, all these are the part of base usage. Obviously, there is so much that you can do, and definitely we will dive much deeper into some more advanced feature in this course. And of course, it is very important to have a general understanding about the tools, like how to use the tools and how we can configure these tools. Permissions are an important topic when working with Claude Code. So I have to cover a few things in this session, because we already saw that Claude Code asks for permissions from time to time. So every time it asks for the permission before it starts editing the files. So here, if I send this prompt in a new session without any other change, then let's see what is happening. So first of all, Claude evaluating my prompt, and after that Claude will ask me for the permission to edit this TSX file. So here Claude also showing me the changes that are going to happen in this particular profile.tsx file. So here you can see there are 3 options. So if I choose this first option, yes, then every time Claude asks for the permission. Or if I choose this second option or hit the Shift plus Tab combination, then it means I permanently grant added permission in this particular session. And if I choose no, then that means I can cancel the added. So the second option is quite interesting. It simply shows that you want to allow Claude to add your files, to edit your files in this session, and you don't want to wait for it to ask you for the permissions again, because you want to go somewhere else at that moment to do some other stuff. So you can therefore switch to this second edit mode. Then as you see here, I did not have to grant it permissions to edit the profile screen. And here I can see Hello Claude text is already added in the profile screen. However, it is very important to understand that even in this mode, it's still not allowed to do everything. Claude just allowed here to edit your code files. But what if I ask it to create a new git commit about all these changes? Let's run a command, create a new commit, press enter. Then it check out the current status and find out what happened in the past and what changed, so that it can commit the changes with a proper message. But here again, Claude ask for permission. Do you want to proceed? Yes or no? So in this case, you still have to make a choice, and you can either allow this one time, or you can tell it to not ask again for git add or git commit commands. So it's all up to you. Let's say yes, because I want to commit these changes on Git. But there is one more important case. Let's say you really want to be able to move away from your machine and let Claude Code do everything without asking for any permission. So if that is what you want, then you can start a new Claude session. Let's create a new session. This is my new session. And now let's run a command, Claude -- dangerously dash skip dash permissions. Let's run this flag. So now it skip all permissions request and it will always grant all those permissions that Claude Code wants. But remember, it is very dangerous because of course you then got no control over what it does over your code. It still can't access your hard drive outside of your project, but it can erase your Git history. It can erase your files that cannot be brought back in this project. It could write a script that is able to do something outside of your project. Suppose if it writes a bash script that can erase your hard drive and it executes that inside your project, then this should work and should destroy your machine. Obviously, that's a very rare case, but it could happen. And that's why you should use this flag with proper care. Now, I already run this flag. So you again get a warning here about what this does. Then if you accept this, you are now able to run your prompt, but it will never ask you for any permission. You can go out and do any other stuff, but it will change the files as well as it commit the changes to Git without asking any permission. That danger permission mode I showed you in the last lecture has some potential problem. So you don't want to erase your hard drive. That's why there is also a safer way of running Claude in that mode. Only if you have Docker installed on your system. Because if you have installed Docker, only then you can use the Docker Sandbox feature, which is relatively new and it completely allows you to run things and tools inside the Docker Sandbox. So here is how you can run Claude inside a Docker Sandbox. Let's run a command, Docker Sandbox run Claude. Press enter. And what this will do is, it will now set up a Docker Sandbox and wrap your local project in that sandbox. And now you can use Claude Code in this sandbox environment. And here you can work with the dangerous skip permission flag mode. Because in this mode, in this sandbox mode, Claude Code cannot touch your computer, your system. Even if it wrote a script that erased the hard drive, it would not be able to go out of that sandbox. It would be limited to this project only. And that's why Sandbox is a safer way of running this flag. But yes, it can still do weird stuff with your Git. So this is something you have to be aware of. So when running this, I have to go through with few setups again because it's a brand new system. But I already installed Docker in my system. So here we can see that it start Claude agent in Sandbox environment. So as you see it, by default, it runs in this bypass permission mode. So I accept it and now it is able to work on this project. Now Claude is able to add any file and Claude is also able to edit any file inside this project, but it would not be able to do anything outside of your project. So you can use Docker Sandbox because it is just a bit secure when using this danger skip permission mode. Docker Sandbox run Claude can be very useful for running Claude Code in a sandbox, but Claude Code also has a built-in sandbox mode and you can use as an alternative if you don't have Docker or if you don't want to use Docker. In that Docker Sandbox, certain features might not work the way you want them to work. Then you can use Claude Code built-in sandbox. Now let me show you how you can use the Claude Code built-in sandbox mode by simply running /sandbox. So this will then ask you which sandbox mode you want to set up. Do you want to use auto allow or you want to use regular permission? Say if you choose auto allow, then command can run automatically inside the sandbox mode. It is faster but with less manual control. And with this regular permission, Claude Code will ask for approvals before running certain commands, which is safer and more controlled choice. And auto allow is what I want here to show you. So if I enable this, you will see my setting file is little bit changed. So here in this setting file, we can say this auto allow bash if sandboxed, which is true. See, if you don't have setting file, then it will have been created after selecting this auto allow option in the sandbox mode. Okay. And after that, in this setting file, you have this sandbox entry. Of course, you can add this entry manually. So with this addition, all the future Claude Code sessions you may start will run in that sandbox mode. So you could run Claude Code with dangerously skipped permission flag now. Since that sandbox mode is enabled, so you will not accidentally erase your overall hard drive because you are on Claude Code built-in sandbox mode. And this is very useful mode. It gives you a Claude Code experience where you don't constantly have to grant permission, and at the same time you have some safety without using Docker, which nonetheless would be good. I personally don't use skip permission flag. Also, I am not using this flag in this course because I will directly use Claude to run the commands. And here in this course, I want to see what Claude Code wants to do. But this is of course a matter of personal preference and hand-off approach. But yes, using Sandbox and this dangerously permission flag can be a good way forward for many new developers. When working with Claude Code or any AI tool, then things can also go bad. Or you may implement something you are not happy about once it's done. So in such cases, you want to revert the changes. Then you have two main options here. Option one is you can use version control like Git, and you can do this in any project, not only when working with the AI project. But remember, when we are working with AI can mess up your code base many times. It might delete files you did not want to delete. So having a version history and being able to go back in previous stable code is very, very important. And when you are working on Visual Studio Code or Cursor or Anti-Gravity like editors, then you can see their own built-in version control tools where you can review the AI changes. For example, here we can check the difference of code. Here you can see the layout.tsx file. This is the change that AI did, and this is built-in version control tool which is provided by Anti-Gravity. Similarly, we can find out this in Visual Studio Code or in Cursor as well. But when using Claude Code, you also have another way to revert or undo the changes you are not happy about. So the first way of undoing changes is to simply press the escape key twice after a change you are not happy with. So here I pressed it twice and then it says rewind, which means restore the code. And using the escape key, we can choose where we want our code to be restored. For example, here it suggests two conversations. First conversation is add a text in profile screen. This is my previous conversation. And one more conversation is create a new commit. And third is current, which is the current session. So it's all up to you which conversation you want to restart. And one more alternative inside Claude Code would be to use /rewind command. So if I call rewind command and press enter, then this is a new session. That's why we are not able to see previous sessions. But if you are in that session where you did some conversations, you run some commands, then in that case, you would see some older sessions. So you can use any of the alternatives to get back to the stable code. For example, I run rewind command here, and these two are the only conversations that I did. That's why we can see only these two conversations. So it's up to us in which conversation we want to jump. So you can use any of the alternatives to get back to the stable code. But my personal preference is using Git, because in Git, it is very easy to check Git histories, to check commits, and using a version control system that these editors already providing us to check the difference that the AI made. And that is very less buggy and less confusing. So you can choose any alternatives to get back to the stable code. We already explored the journal setup in the previous videos. So now it's the right time to actually start using Claude Code. So for this section, I will build a demo project, and it will be a mobile application built with JavaScript or TypeScript. You don't have to follow this exact project. You can start with your own skill language project, because this series is not about this particular project. This series is about the knowledge of Claude Code usage. But if you want to practice on the same project, then I will share the GitHub repo of this project. So here we will explore how to properly perform prompt and context engineering with Claude Code. We will see how to write correct prompts and provide the right context. Then we will dive into Claude Code plan modes. Then we will dive into a few more crucial features like memory management and working with sub-agents and working with agent skills and many more like MCP servers as well. Now let's start with the prompt and context engineering. This simply means that you want to write good prompts, because with large language models, you noticed that such models can also deal with the bad prompts and still provide the okayish results. Typically, you get better results if you have a better input. Good input is always equals to the good results. And the input, I mean a prompt, is actually a combination of having specific instructions that clearly describe the task you want Claude Code to work on and providing relevant context and extra information without providing unnecessary information, because irrelevant information can lead to worse output. Today, I want to show you something very important. Most beginners think AI works like magic, but actually AI works based on some instructions. So if your instructions are weak, then AI gives you average results. But if your instructions are detailed and well structured, then AI can generate production level applications. So here we are not just asking AI to build an application. We are basically guiding AI like senior developer gives instruction to his team. So in coming video, I will build a React Native Nodes application using Expo. But before that, let me explain you the complete prompt engineering structure to create a React Native application from the scratch. So the prompt for this node making application I have already pasted in this new file named as spec.md, but now I will show you how we can create a prompt to build any new application. So this is the section 1, and in this page I will explain 8 sections for AI prompting. So this is the prompt engineering blueprint, and in this blueprint I will explain 8 sections for improving your prompting to build any kind of application. So the section 1, we start by telling AI which technologies we are going to use. For example, React Native, Expo, Native Build, TypeScript, Superbase. These are the things that I am going to use in this React Native Expo application. Why is this important? Because AI needs direction. If we don't specify the stack, AI may choose different frameworks or inconsistent technologies. So first, we define the front-end framework, styling system, and the backend, and the programming language. So this creates a clarity for the AI. Section 2, next, we will explain how the app should feel. So here we use words like premium looking, modern startup app, smooth UX. So these kind of the words we are going to use when we are talking about the app UI look. So this is very important because AI is not only a coder, AI also acts like a designer. So instead of saying build a Nodes application, we say build a premium startup quality Nodes app. In the section 3, now we guide the design systems. We should mention dark mode, light mode, smooth animation, rounded corners, spacing, gradients, loading skeletons, empty states. So these are the basic things that we should mention about the design systems. Why? Because professional apps are not just functional. Professional apps feel smooth and polished. And this is how real world applications are designed. In the section 4, after designing, we will explain about the functionalities. Like if I want to create a node application, then I have to mention like what kind of functionality this application should have. Like create nodes, edit nodes, delete nodes, search nodes, real-time syncing, and auto-saving of the nodes. So this section tells AI what the app should actually do. Without this section, AI may only create the UI without proper logics. So features define the core behavior of the application. Now, the section 5, premium user experience feature. Now we add advanced UX details. For example, we should mention swipe to delete, toast message, pull to refresh, long press interactions. So these are all the small things, but these small things separate beginners application from professional applications. When user feel vibration, animations and smooth gestures, the app suddenly feels much more premium. So now section 6. Section 6 is about architecture and about the code quality. Now we control how AI write the code. We instruct AI about the reusable components, reusable hooks, scalable folder structure, TypeScript everywhere, and proper error handling. Why is this important? Because AI can generate messy code if we don't guide it properly. So good developers don't only care about the UI, they also care about the maintainability, the scalability and clean architecture. So we guide AI like a software architect. Section 7 is about the performance optimization. We should add this performance optimization in our prompting. So here we also add some performance instructions like avoid unnecessary re-rendering, optimize performance, and ensure all dependencies are compatible with the latest XY SDK. This is important because AI may otherwise generate inefficient codes. So prompting is not only about asking about the features, about the UI, but prompting is also about preventing bad practices in code. So now let's talk about the section 8, which is your backend. I am using Supabase as a backend in these applications. Now this is the powerful part of our application. We tell AI to handle backend tasks too. For example, the SQL schemas, the real-time configurations, the authentications, the API integrations, the edge functions. Modern AI is not limited to front end. AI can now also generate database setup, backend logics, APIs, and real-time syncing. This is why AI development feels so powerful because we can handle front end as well as back end using AI. So the biggest lesson here is that AI performs best when instructions are specific, well-structured, detailed, and goal-oriented. This is why prompt engineering matters a lot, because a well-structured prompt can generate startup quality applications. Now, I hope you understand that the better you communicate your vision to AI, the better software AI can create for you. So in the last video, I explained about the prompt engineering that we should follow whenever we start building a new application. So after all the specification which I have mentioned inside this file spec.md, now I want to continue with this project. If we check our project package.json, then we can see that all the important and initial required dependencies are already there in this Expo project. Like we already have Expo router, React navigation, reanimated library is also there, is gesture handler is also there, and TypeScript is also inside the package.json file. So whenever I start working on a project with Claude Code, I run /init command. So this is the first command that we should run. Let's hit the command init. See, init command initialize a Claude Code project. That's why we should run this command. And also, this command analyze the code base to understand the full project structure. Also, it checked all the dependencies that are installed inside this project. Also, it detect the specification file, which is our spec.md file, where all the features, all the specifications about the project is mentioned. And after analyzing all the files, Claude will create a useful claude.md file for this project. So before creating claude.md file, Claude asked me for permission. Do you want to create claude.md file or not? So just hit the yes button, and after hitting yes, after providing the permission, Claude generated claude.md file. Claude.md is auto-generated file after running command /init. So it is like a project onboarding document for AI. It tells Claude exactly how your project works, what technology you are using, and how you want the code written. But this auto-generated MD file is never enough. You can add your own instructions inside this file. I also have one instruction that I want Claude Code to give me short replies, no long essay with a lot of code snippets, and all that will be token that pollute the context as a conversation goes on for longer. For example, here I want to add one instruction I can write down the instruction just below this line. You can add anywhere. So this is the instruction that keep your replies extremely concise and focus on conveying the key informations. No unnecessary fluff, no long code snippets required. Let's save the file. One more thing is Claude Code project should at least have one claude.md file in the root project folder. And this file and its content will automatically be loaded into every new session you create with Claude Code. And also, if you clear the context of a session, then this file loaded again with the newly created context. So this file basically shows some basic commands to start the project. As you can see here, this file shows few commands to start this project. Also have some general information about the architecture of this project. So the core purpose of this claude.md file is simply to store some long-term memories that should be accessible across different sessions. Also, we can have multiple claude.md files in a project. That is also possible. For example, we can create a new claude.md file inside this app folder. So as you can see that I have created this claude.md folder inside this app folder, and this claude.md file will be loaded and considered whenever Claude does work on any file inside this app folder. Now here is where Claude gets really powerful. Before we start building our node application, we are going to use plan mode. Instead of letting Claude just start coding, we tell it think first, plan everything, and then execute. This is how professionals use AI, not just as a code monkey, but as a software architect. So here, first thing is I will clear this session here again just by using clear command to make sure that we got an empty context window again. And here is the first prompt I will send to Claude Code. This is my prompt. Build a premium startup quality node application. Check all application detail in spec.md file. Now we feed the prompt. So here we should press Shift plus Tab combination to enter in plan mode. I am here already in the plan mode, but you can change to different mode by pressing the combination Shift plus Tab. This is auto mode. I don't need it right now. This is plain mode and this is the auto mode. So this is also the accept edit mode, but right now I want a plan mode. So plan mode is a mode where Claude Code will first gather some relevant information before starting work, and it asks for your permission before edit any file of your project. It starts by exploring the project and then create a plan that how we can move forward. So now let's enter. So here Claude asked me for a permission. Claude reads so many files. In fact, it reads specification file as well. And now Claude asks for a permission. Claude asks questions that how should authentication work for your notification app. Obviously, notification applications has authentication, but this is a demo project and I am not using authentication right now. So I will choose option first. Now the second question is, are supervised credentials available or should I scan full environment setup only? I will choose second option because I have URL and a key. So I will provide it later. How should the tabs be structured? Replace with node, search, profile. Actually, it wants to repurpose the existing tabs with the new one. So here the first option is, Claude saying that it fit with our specification. So I will choose the first option here. Now it is asking for the styling approach. It is asking, do you want to use native wind or you want to go with style shade? So I can choose any of these two options. Mostly I work with style shade, but in my specification, I write down the native wind. So the first option is the native wind. So I will follow the specification right now. So the last question is, are you ready to submit your answers to Claude Code? Yes, I want to submit my answers. So here Claude generated a full structured plan. And if we choose this plan, if we find out this plan is perfect for our execution, then we can exit the plan mode by using the combination of Shift plus Tab. So here in this Claude plan, Claude explain everything about this project, that what we are going to use. Claude write down the folder structure that inside the folder we have have one notes list screen, search screen, and profile screen. Also mentioned about the components and the hooks that Claude will use inside this project, and also Claude telling about the superways and the tables, and also define the components that Claude going to use inside this project. And this is the screen descriptions that Claude will use. Tab, and inside the tab there is insearch.asx file and one more screen profile.asx file inside this tab, and this is some kind of theme information, and this is the execution order. So this is the whole structure that Claude planned for us for our application. So here, if you check that Claude asks for permission again, Claude has written up a plan and is ready to execute. Would you like to proceed? So this is something that is under control. This is our wish. If we like the plan, we can select yes options. So the first option is use auto mode. Second is manually approve the edits. So if we choose second option, then every time, when Claude try to edit any file, then it asks for the permission. But if you choose this first option, then it automatically added the files with the changes. This is auto mode, which automatically edit your files. So this is up to you which option you want to choose. So right now I will prefer manually approve edits, so I will press second option. But if you are a vibe coder or you don't have much time to sit and approve permissions every time, then you can select this first option. This is also very good option to start with your new project. If you are a vibe coder or a new coder, and if you want control over your code, then you can select this manual approve edit option. When Claude builds your application, it does not just generate text. Claude uses real tools. It reads files, writes files, runs terminal commands, and searches inside your code base. So understanding of these tools help you work with Claude Code more effectively. Let me show you what's happening under the hood. So basically, I am here talking about the Claude Code AI engine. So whenever you run any prompt inside a Claude Code, Claude uses its tool. First is read tool. Claude reads existing files before modifying them. This is why it understands your entire code base. Second is edit tool. Instead of rewriting entire files, Claude only changes what's needed, like adding a new function to an existing hook. Third is writing tool. Writing tool creates new file. When Claude generates your any component, it uses write tool to create your component. Then next is grep tool. It searches file content. When you ask where is the superbase client configured, then Claude grep your code base to find it. Next is glob tool. It finds files by pattern. For example, if you want to find all the screen component, then it trigger a glob tool to find out relative files or screens of that particular component. Next is bash tool. It run all kind of terminal commands like npx expo install, npm test, adb devices. Such all terminal commands go through this bash tool. Claude Code also connected with the performance because it understands how the component is already written before making any changes. Because of that, it makes it smarter and safer. It can also avoid introducing unnecessary re-rendering of functions or re-rendering of code or duplicate imports inside your component. So Claude worked with very powerful tools to work faster with the code implementation and provide accurate outputs. Claude Code built-in tools are really very powerful, and we already discussed Claude built-in tools in our previous video. But what if you need Claude to directly interact with the external tools? At that time, we use MCP. MCP basically stands for Model Context Protocol, and it is basically a bridge between AI and external tools and real-world systems. So in short, MCP actually translate all kind of AI requests into real actions. So MCP servers allows AI to talk to database, to read files, manage GitHub, control supervise, and interact with different applications or different tools. So without manual coding, MCP servers can do everything automatically. So this is the simple example of MCP, that how MCP works. For example, you ask Claude, show me the current GitHub issue. So after reading your request, Claude call MCP server. After that, MCP server execute the request. MCP server connect with GitHub, and then this server fetch the real data, and after that, MCP return a result, and Claude shows you the issue that result with the user. So consider MCP like a universal USB port for AI. So using MCP, AI basically connects to any external tool inside your project. Now let's come back to the project, and here I want to add supervised MCP server. So to connect supervised MCP server inside this project, first thing is just go to the anti-gravity setting, and here you can add any tool. Here you can also check the list of those tools that you have already installed in this project. So Superbase is already enabled in this project, but suppose if you don't need Superbase, then you can disable this. And if you want to work with Firebase, then you can select Firebase here. You can add Firebase MCP server here, and then you can check this Firebase MCP server is installed for this project. But in this project, I really don't need Firebase MCP server, so I will delete this. But before deleting this, let's open this MCP configuration file, and here you will see whatever server you are enabling, you can see all those inside this MCP server JSON. This is the Superbase MCP server dictionary, and this is the Firebase MCP server dictionary. So let's delete this Firebase MCP server. So after activating Superbase MCP server here, we can let Claude directly create tables, set up RLS policies, and configure real-time channels. Still, Claude asks before running any risky commands so that you control what's auto-approved versus what need confirmations. So there is one more important thing. With MCP servers, we still have permission systems. So this permission system is really very important. Here you can allow safe read operations. Like you can allow read, grep, glob operations automatically, but you can keep write operations on ask, which means you are allowing AI to read and gather the informations, but before write it, AI must ask write permissions from you. And I have already discussed these read, write, and glob built-in operations in the previous video. You can check that again if you have any doubt. So these are the permissions basically for read and write and any kind of added and grep kind of operations. So basically this is important because by using these permissions, such kind of permissions, we can take control over operations. So after saving this, just close this file. So if you want to check which MCP server are already installed inside your project, then you can check that by clicking these three buttons, which is basically a more icon, and go to the configure editor option, and here in this anti-gravity setting option, you can come back to the customization screen. And here again, you can check the list of the MCP servers which you have already installed for this project. One more thing is you can type just a combination of Shift Command P to manage the MCP server. So this screen generally means that Superbase MCP server is active for this project, and 29 tools are exposed to Claude Code, and Claude can now read the schemas, create the tables, run migrations, do authentications, manage storage, and handle the edge functions, and can access doc as well. And this is exactly what we wanted. And after connecting Superbase MCP server successfully, you can use Claude like an AI backend engineer. right now Superbase MCP server is enabled inside this project, but Superbase is not completely connected yet with this anti-gravity IDE. So just close this, and if Superbase is not connected, then you have to follow these simple steps. Just go to this Superbase dashboard account link, and here you have to generate a new token. You have to add a name, and you can set the expiry time period for this generated token. So after generating this new token, in the second step, you have to paste this newly generated token inside the Claude code. Come back to the project, and if your Claude is running, then you have to paste that newly generated token inside the Claude and tell Claude to use this newly generated token and connect with my project which I have created in Superbase. So when Claude read this newly generated token, it automatically added this generated key inside your MCP server JSON. You can check this through anti-gravity setting. Let me show you. So inside this file, you can see that this newly generated token is already, inside this MCP server JSON. Then the third step is to restart your Claude code just by using /exit command or by pressing Ctrl+C twice and then run Claude again. See, I am not implementing a second step because I already generated a new token and I pasted that token inside the Claude. So it already, existed inside this MCP server file. But that step is very simple. You only have to paste your newly generated token inside the Claude. So in the third step, you have to restart your Claude code just by using /exit command. Basically, you are right now out of the previous session. You are now creating a new session. So you have to run Claude command. And after running this command, here you can see that Claude asks permissions from you. Like it is saying that MCP server may execute code or access system resource. All tool calls require approval. So there are three options. Use this and all future MCP servers in this project. Second is use this MCP server. Third is continue without using this MCP server. But of course, I want to continue with the MCP server. So I will choose the first option and press enter. Now I want to check that Superbase project is really connected or not with this IDE. Basically, I am trying to connect with Superbase MCP. Just run a prompt, connect to my Superbase project, and type the project name called demo. So after hitting the first option, I am just typing this prompt. I only want to check that Superbase MCP is connected or not. Just enter. So here you can say that Claude asked me, do you want to proceed? And it already read everything, and it clearly means that we have successfully added Superbase MCP inside this project. So that's how we can connect MCP servers inside any mobile application, and it is super easy, and adding MCP server is very, very important, and that's how you are now entering the real AI native workflow using MCP servers. Now let's understand how Claude delegates tasks to sub-agents for the parallel work. When you ask Claude to do something complex like set up the entire design system with dark mode or light mode or create this and that component, so that's a lot of work. Claude does not try to do it all in one shot. So Claude use sub-agents means separate Claude instances that handle specific part of the task. Think of it like a tech lead delegating tasks to the team members. Basically, the main Claude acts as a coordinator, and Claude uses specialized agents for the subtask. So we will talk about two built-in types of Claude sub-agents. First is explore agent, and it investigates and exploring your code base, and this sub-agent reads all files and do stuff related to researching information. Second built-in sub-agent is task agent, and it performs any specific task such as creating components, fixing bugs, or writing codes. Such tasks handled by this task sub agent. So why are they useful? For this, imagine you are building a Node application. So instead of doing everything one by one, Claude can assign one agent to build the theme provider, assign another agent to create UI components, assign a third agent to add animation on the app screens. So all of these tasks happen in parallel and making app development faster. Also, these inbuilt sub-agents protect the context. Means if an explore agent reads 50 files to understand your code base, then that data does not flood the main conversation window. Things happened behind the screen. Now let's see the demo. I will now run the command. Like I will say we are building a React Native Nodes application. So check spec.md file and start building the component and UI. So let's run this command on the terminal. Now let's enter this command. Now let's watch Claude built-in sub-agents, how they will perform this command. So I already connected Superbase as a MCP and now it asks permissions. Do you want to proceed? Just enter yes. So Claude again asks permissions for Superbase. Basically right now Claude added table in the Superbase. Here if you notice, till the Claude provide output, Claude sub-agents do stuff behind the scene without interrupting and without data flood on the main conversation window. Basically everything happens behind the scene. The Superbase MCP worked behind the scene. So when sub-agents done, they pass the result to the main Claude. That's why I told you that Claude act as a coordinator. So here if you notice, then Claude also checked the spec.md file where I have mentioned all the requirements, and Claude said that requirement is covered like the dark first UI, theme toggle, the font family setup, the swipe to delete, auto saving mode, and everything is according to the requirements which are mentioned under the spec.md file. So if you watched the previous lectures, previous sessions, then you will notice that we already added this spec.md file and I already covered what this spec.md file is actually doing and how important this md file for new application. So now if we open the simulator, then we will see the UI for this node application. Here are three tabs, one for nodes, second for searching nodes, and third for the profile, where we can see the light mode, the dark mode, and few more things like Superbase real-time syncing, which basically we don't need to show on the screen, but obviously it is mentioned in the spec.md file. That's why it comes in the UI. But yes, this is the UI that Claude have built for us. So here we notice that Claude successfully read the spec.md file requirements related to the UI component, and it also create the UI for note making application, which I check on the simulator. But if you noticed here, then Claude could not verify the Superbase database. Claude failed to connect with the Superbase MCP server. Although Claude asked permissions again and again to connect with the Superbase, to want to change in the Superbase, want to create a table and do stuff related to the Superbase, but it still failed to connect with the Superbase MCP server. So now, as we know that Superbase MCP server is enabled inside this project, we already did this in the previous sessions. So let's say again, connect to my Superbase project, and my Superbase project name is Claude Code Demo, and then say create all database table for Claude Code Demo project. Also check spec.md file where I have mentioned app requirements. And if you check in Superbase, this is my Claude Code Demo project, and yet we have no table created by Claude Code. Also, there is no function yet created. So now let's go back to the terminal and hit this command. Here Claude says that Superbase MCP was timing out earlier, but let me retry now and apply the schemas. So let's proceed. It again asks for permission. Let's say yes. Here I choose second option because I am allowing superways. So here I am selecting second option because I am allowing Claude to perform all the tasks related to the superways without asking me permission again and again. Here you can see that Claude connected with the superways, and also Claude checked that project currently has no table created. So Claude want to make changes in schemas. So let's say yes. Here you can see Claude has created notes table with these columns, with ID columns, with owner ID columns, with note title column, with content, and with all the remaining ones. Now let's go back to the superbase. And here we will say that Claude has created one table with notes name. And if we check this in table edit mode, then we can see the columns here. Right now we have not entered any entry, that's why it's empty. So here all these tasks are done by Claude's built-in sub-agents. So now before moving ahead, let's build our own custom sub-agents. Claude built-in sub-agents are great. Every task in the previous video happened and managed by Claude built-in sub-agents. Claude performed everything by its own in the previous session, but you can create your own custom sub-agent with some specific instructions. Trust me, this is a very powerful feature. And for this application, this Note application, we are going to build a mobile UX reviewer sub-agent. And this custom sub-agent will check every screen for premium UX quality. So consider this custom agent like a senior UI reviewer, because instead of manually checking every screen, this agent reviews your work and ensure it follows your quality standards. Well, you can add any local agent for your project just by going to this Claude folder. This is the Claude folder, and inside this Claude folder, let's create agents folder, and this name is not up to you, it must be named agents. And then I already prepared an MD file. I just drag that MD file here. This is the mobile UX reviewer MD file. I will drag this MD file inside this agents folder, and this MD file will look for swipe to delete action, toast messages, pull to refresh, long press interactions, loading skeleton, empty states. This screen will check every premium feature related to the UI. Also, it can check the design standards. The same agent can verify dark and light modes, smooth animations, proper spacing and alignments, consistent colors and gradients. And you can also mention whatever you want from this agent. Also, the most important thing is, once you create your custom agent, you can use it again and again in your multiple applications. For this, you must store these MD files, these agents globally. So go to your Claude root folder. Here I have a folder agents, and inside this agent folder, you can add your multiple custom agents MD files, and then it would be available across all the projects. So it's up to you what you need and what kind of custom sub-agents you want to use inside your project. Okay, now let's run a command to check UX quality of the screen. And here I just type review home screen for premium UX quality and just press enter. Here Claude started reading the files. So here you will see that it checked all the UX standard patterns and parameters that were described under this MD file, under this agent folder. Claude checked all the UX premium parameters like swipe to delete. It also checked the buttons. It also checked long press gesture, which is dead in the screen. And it also checked the toast messages. And also suggest us which part need more attention or which part really need some polishing. And in the end, here you will say that Claude asks what part need fixes, and it's all up to you, and it's up to your screen that what kind of execution that screen really wants. So you can pick any of the fix and just enter your input here. And once you enter your input, Claude will implement that input. Besides sub-agents, one other key feature that can make Claude Code better are agent skills. We have been typing detailed prompts every time we want Claude to do something. But what if you could save a prompt as a reusable skill and trigger it with a simple / command? That's exactly what agent skills are. Think of them as a saved macros for Claude Code, and one command trigger a complex multi-step workflows. In short, typing the same long prompt every time, save it as a skill and invoke it with a command. Claude Code already comes with a lot of pre-installed built-in skills. Like you can see here, using / you can simply invoke any built-in Claude skill. And a skill can include multi-step instructions, tool usage, and agent delegations. So in this project, here we are going to add custom skills in the next video. Now we are going to build 3 custom skills from scratch. For this application, I am going to create one skill for new component, second skill is for new screen, and third skill is for new hook. So let's create a skill folder. So go back to the Claude folder. This is the Claude main folder, and inside this, let's create a subfolder named as skills. Name must be skills. It's not up to you, so you have to keep it skills. Press enter, and inside this skills folder, you have to create the folders for all the skills. For example, here I am creating a new folder for new component. Let's add a component folder. This is the new component folder. Press enter, and inside this folder you have to add a skill MD file. Name should be skill.md. Similarly, let's create another subfolder for a new skill. Like the second skill is new screen. Enter this subfolder, and inside this subfolder, let's create a new skill MD file. Press enter, and then again create a new subfolder for a new skill, which is for new hook. Press enter, and then add a new MD file for this skill. So these are the 3 subfolders inside the skills folder. So I have already created these MD files, and I am just going to use those MD file content here. So for new component, I am going to use this content. Let's save this file. For new hook, let's copy this content, paste it here, save this file. And for new screen, just copy this content and paste inside this new screen subfolder. And here in this project, I am using supervised, so I am adding one more skill for supervised migration. So let's add a new folder, and let's say is a supervised migrate folder, and let's say migration. Press enter. Let's add a new MD file here, skill.md. Go back to the finder, and I'm just copy and paste the content for supervised migration. Let's save this file, and these are the skills for this project. So inside this file, skill name and the description are mandatory so that Claude get an idea what is going on behind this skill. Also, skills should be concise because every skill loaded and takes space in the context window. So now let me explain you first what are the core purpose of these added skills here. So here, new component skill purpose is to generate a new React Native component that meets the Willow requirements. Like the component should be TypeScript and must always look premium and polished. And this skill also includes light and dark mode support. And we also mentioned here proper file location, which is, I mentioned that component must be inside the src folder. And inside that, we have the list of all the components. This is basically the location for a newly created component. So this is the skill for new component. Now let's move to the next skill we have for new screen. And the core purpose of this skill is to scan fold a complete screen with navigation, with proper data fetching, and with all UX pattern. This skill also handles state management and empty states, and this skill also handles callback properly and optimization of the performances as well. So the third skill is this new hook skill, and new hook skill handles API loading, error, and the success states. This skill also handles use callbacks and also makes sure hooks must be TypeScript, and it also clean up the use effects. So here there is one more skill I have added. So the purpose behind this supervise skill is to generate and run SQL queries with proper RLS policies. And inside this skill folder, you can add multiple skills for your project. So these are the local skills right now, and these skills will work inside this project only. But you can add multiple skills globally that you can use in multiple applications. So for this, you have to go to the Claude folder. Here, you can check inside the Claude folder, there is an agent folder. Similarly, you can add skills folder inside this Claude folder, and inside the skills folder, you can add multiple skills inside this, and then you can use globally those skills in multiple applications. So right now for this application, I have added only these 4 skills, but you can add number of reusable skills for your project according to your requirement. So now let's run and invoke the newly created skills. Let's say new component is our skill name. This is the new component skill that we have created right now. And you can say we invoke this skill just using a / command. So we invoke the new component skill, and what now I want, let's say create note card component. Just press enter. Here Claude checked that I have created 4 skills. So it noticed that 4 skills available right now for this project. So right now, here Claude asked that what action Claude should perform, because note card is already present because we already run command for the UI component. So right now, I will choose the second option, new presentation note card, and let's see what this skill build for us. So here Claude created a component for us named as note card display, and it mentioned that the newly created component is under 80 lines and it meet the skill requirements. The skill requirements are TypeScript properties, the theme support, and the loading skeleton requirement. Basically, it made all the requirements that we mentioned inside this new component skill. Now let's check the simulator. Reload your iOS simulator. Here I am reloading the app on simulator again. And now let's check the component. So this is the new node component. This is just built right now using our new component skill. You can add here the node. You can add here the description for this particular node. Similarly, you can invoke new screen component skill as well. This is also the local skill that we have created. You can use this new screen skill for creating a new screen. For example, you can tell here create setting screen. Just typing this create setting screen. This new screen skill will create a full screen for you. So here you can see that Claude has created setting screen for us. So let's open the simulator again. So while opening this application, and when I click on setting icon, this app crashed. So I asked Claude to fix this crash which happened on setting screen. So just after mentioning the crash issue, Claude fixed the issue. And now again, let's go back to the simulator and reload the application. Go to the profile screen, and here is the setting button. Just press the setting button, and this is the screen that Claude has created for us using the local skill which we have created with the name new screen skill. So similarly, you can create multiple skills for your project. These skills depends on your project requirements. And here you also checked that how we can invoke these local skills, and just using these skills, we don't need to write down a long prompts. So today's lecture is very powerful because here you will see you now no need to write down long prompts. Also, UI is fully handled by the custom subagents that we have created in previous videos. And we also added skills today, that what architecture a new screen or a new component or a new hook should follow. Also, supervised migration is also working automatically in this project. So adding skills inside your project is really very powerful, and it making your workflow super fast. Similarly, you can invoke the other skills as well. For example, if you want to create a new hook, then you have to invoke this local skill just by using this / command. Similarly, if you want to perform supervised functions or any supervised related task, then you have to invoke supervised migration local skill that you have created here. So just by using / command, you are actually invoking all these requirements. That's why you don't need to write down full prompts every time when you are creating new screen, when you are creating new hook, when you are creating new component. That's why these skills are very useful inside your project. So in the last lecture, we have built our own skills and they are extremely powerful, but we can make them even better. So in this lecture, we will enhance our existing skills with smarter logics, and also we will add third-party skills from the community. So here in new component skill, we can still add a few context awareness. See, we already discussed in previous video that why adding skills in project is extremely important. But again, I am telling you that if we talk about this particular skill, that is our new component skill, then this skill will help every time when we are creating new component. If we have created a skill, then we don't need to again and again write the long prompts that this XY component must be in TypeScript, must follow this color and this font family, and must handle the loading, and component length should not be very long, etc. and etc. See, if we have skills, then we don't need to write down long prompts every time. So writing down long prompts every time, it's better to use skills in your project. So here we can add something like, let's say, check existing components first and avoid duplicates. It simply means that before creating any new component, I'm just telling this skill that firstly check the components. If the similar name exists, then avoid the duplicacy. Just save this file, and that's how you can add number of requirements according to your requirement, according to your project requirement. So that's the way you can enhance your existing skills. So here you can also see that I have added a new skill, which is a code review skill. In the last video, we have created these 4 skills for new component, for new screen, for adding new hook, and for supervised migration. We have added these 4 skills in the last video, but I also added one more skill for the code review, and this skill will provide the result with a proper output format. And this is the format. It will provide the file name. It also provide the critical warnings and the messages, also provide the issue list and what would be the fix of that particular issue, and it end up with a summary with total number of issues and the top priority fix. It will tell you everything. So this is the output format for this code review skill. So after reviewing the code, after reviewing the component, after reviewing any screen, this skill will give you this output. This skill will tell you the priority, that which part need fix. So these are the local skills and their enhancements that you can do anytime. But we can also add third-party skills. So these third-party skills are basically community skills. Let's go to the website. So this is the website skills.sh. This is community skills. Other developers, share these skills for the common task. Now let's check this website. So these are the agents. See, whatever agent you are right now using, you can pick that one. You can use, if you are using Visual Studio Code, then you can select that one. If you are using Claude Code, or if you are using Codex, then you can select those agents. For example, I am using Claude Code, so I am selecting Claude Code. And here are the skills. See, if you want agent workflow kind of skills, then you can select here. There is also front-end related skills and Next.js skills are there. So if you click here, so under front-end and React skills, you can see the list of these skills. So you can choose according to your requirement. So these are the topics. There are 6 skills regarding front-end. There are 7 skills regarding this. There are also design and UI skills. There are mobile related skills also there. So you can directly install these skills according to your project requirement. And the process is very simple. You can install and configure these third-party skills the same way as we did in custom skills. And later we will add them to our Claude folder skill directory. This is our Claude folder and this is the skill directory where that newly added or newly installed skill we can see. So here you can also search skills. For example, I am here searching Expo deployment skill because this skill is actually really useful in Expo project. Just click this. So this is the installation way, and this skill will automate your Expo app deployment in iOS platform and in Android platform. So just copy this installation step and go back to your IDE, and here we can just paste this and enter. Select your agent here. Here Claude asks that you want to install in this project or you want to install globally. So right now I install the skill only in this project. Proceed with installation. Yes, done. And here you can see Expo deployment skill. This is the third-party skill that we installed just right now. And this is the skill. You can check the name, you can check the description, you can also check whatever steps mentioned here. So this is basically the skill which is shared by the community developers. And that's how you can add any third-party skills inside your project. And that's the complete workflow. So let me recap what we have built across these lectures. Say we started with /init and a well-crafted Claude.md that gave Claude full context about our project. Then we used plan mode to architect before coding. After that, we learned the built-in tools and extended Claude with MCP servers for Superbase. Because I am using Superbase in this project, so I connect Superbase MCP server here. Then we understood sub-agents and we built a custom sub-agent for mobile UX reviewer. We named this sub-agent this mobile UX reviewer for our mobile application. And then we learned to write prompts that activate Claude's full power. And finally, we encoded everything into reusable skills. And we invoke these skills using / commands. In the last lecture, we invoked these skills using / command. So this is the complete framework you can apply to any project, and that's how you can build premium application with AI. So in the last few videos, we have built custom sub-agents in Claude, and we have also created important skill files for this project. And trust me, once you master these advanced techniques, your app development becomes significantly faster because Claude sub-agents handle multiple tasks in parallel, and skill files also eliminate the need to rewrite the same long prompts over and over again. Here, if you can see, then in the last few videos, we have created number of skill files. We also have created custom agents, especially for mobile UX review. And now, if you want to use Claude Code, especially for better code review, then most probably I think you will write down the prompts something like this. You maybe write down something like perform an in-depth code review for this code base and focus on security and performance issues and some logical works. Or maybe you will create skill for it. Like we also, created one skill file for especially code review. So this is also one option that you can also create skills for the code reviews. And sometimes maybe you will elaborate your prompts more and more according to your requirement. But the problem with this approach is that while development, we want to perform code review many times and with different types. For example, sometimes we perform code review only to check the bugs, and sometimes you want to check only security issues and sometimes performance issues. So in such cases, you will probably repeat code review prompt again and again from time to time. And that's not too bad, but not the right approach. And that's where custom commands come into play. So just as you can add these agents like here and skills to your projects, similarly, you can also add custom commands in your project. You can also add them locally in your project, just the way I did here. And you can also set them globally. If you want to set them globally, then just go to your root folder. And after that here, right now I am in the root folder. Then you will find out the Claude. And here you can see I have agents folder. And this is one MD file, and I can use this agent MD file in multiple projects. So similarly, you can create a folder especially for the commands, and inside that command folder, you can drag and drop your multiple command MD files, and globally you can use those commands in your multiple projects. So now come back to the project. So here you can see inside this .claude folder, I have created a new folder command. This is a locally created folder, and here I have created this code review MD file. I took help of AI to create this MD file according to my need. So a custom command is really just a prompt which could look like this, but there are a couple of things going on here. Let's understand this metadata here. So here, this description, perform a code review, and this allowed tools are totally optional. You don't need it. So a custom command look like this after eliminating this. This is the custom command, and this command totally looks like a prompt. But I prefer adding description so that AI can easily understand the whole context. Also, I always set tools because I want to restrict the tools that can be used by the Claude Code after you call this particular command. And by default, it can use all the tools of the surrounding context. So here you can see I only allowed read tool because I only want from this command to read the entire files of the project, and now it can't write any files. This command only can read the files of my project but cannot write anything inside the files. Next, here you can see you can also use this special $arguments placeholder, and this field will be replaced with any arguments or any input you passed to your this command. In short, this will be replaced with your actual arguments, and this allow you to build flexible dynamic commands just like a function in a programming language which also can accept the parameters. So here this file also expect to get a mode, and then in my prompt I tell Claude Code what to do. You can change this prompt according to your plan. So based on what mode value we pass, for example, here I can pass these 3 mode values. Like there is one mode is bug, second I added security mode, third is the performance mode. So based on what mode value we pass, for example, if I pass mode value bug, then it should just look for bugs. If mode value is security, it should look for security issues. And here I also allow this command file for combined modes. Here, line number 14, if you can see, then here I allowed this command file for combined modes. For example, here Claude can perform combined code review, which includes bugs and security issues. Okay, now start a new session. Here, just click on the plus button and start a new session here. For this session, just use /. So here you will see your custom command in the list, and that's how this command file works. Here you can also see same name Claude review, but you can check this is the skill, and we have created this local skill. If you go to the skill folder here, then you can see code review. This is the custom skill that we have created in the previous videos, and in the next line, this is the custom command that we have just created. So here, select this, and now just after selecting this command, add any mode that we mentioned in the file. Like we have set 3 modes. One is for bug, one for security, one for performance issues. So just pass any mode that you want to perform here. Like I am sending mode bugs, and now hit enter. Now Claude Code will go ahead and use that prompt. So here I can see that Claude has done with the review, and this is the report that Claude generated for us. Here, if you can notice, then Claude reviewed multiple files here. Claude reviewed the hook folder. Also, this is the note detail.tsx file. Claude read this file, and this is the critical issues that Claude mentioned here. So here I got a complete detail where I have to take actions. I can see the warnings here with the line number, and also if you notice, Claude also tell us about the dead codes that we write down inside the file but never use. So these are the findings that our custom command provide us, and of course the app is not yet ready, not yet completed. So this report is as expected, but it is really good to have these findings to decide whether you want to act upon them or not. And definitely now I will work on app pending stuff, but that's how custom command works, and you can create any command according to your project requirements, and you can also use them in your multiple projects. So here you can see that Claude find out 12 issues, and these 12 issues are actually totally normal because this test app is not completed yet. So right now I am planning to just fix the core features of this Note app. For this I am just writing down this prompt. I have said that connect with Superbase Claude Code demo project, and also check add notes, edit notes, delete note features. Make sure Superbase must handle all each features operations correctly. So if you watch my previous videos, then I have connected Superbase MCP server inside this project. So just writing down the prompts, Claude will handle Superbase database itself. I don't need to do things manually just by going to the Superbase website. I don't need to open Superbase website, and I don't need to create or add or edit or any other features. I don't need to manually perform anything on Superbase side. Right now, Claude properly connected with the MCP server, with the Superbase MCP server. So every operations Claude can perform by itself. Now Claude is trying to connect with the Superbase project. It asked me to proceed. I just press yes. Here Claude tried to connect with the Superbase MCP server. I can see the URL here, this project Superbase URL. So I think Claude successfully connect with the Superbase project. Okay, if you can see here, all operations are verified by Claude. It says that Superbase handles every feature operations correctly, like Superbase handle add nodes, list of nodes, edit nodes, search of nodes also handled on the database, delete node is also handled by Superbase. Now here I can say two things need attention. So here in the first point, Claude says that MCP access token is dead. Yes, if it is dead, then I have to re-authenticate Superbase And once I re-authenticate it, Claude Code will get the access, and then Claude can perform the pending operations. But before performing anything here, before generating the new access token, just run this application on simulator. So this is Claude Code demo project and Superbase, and this is the database. Let's go to the table here, check in table editor. Okay, these are all the columns that we have created inside nodes table, but there is no entry yet. Okay, I think we should open now the iOS simulator. Okay, now this is the simulator, and I think let's create our first node here. Title must be testing node. Start writing. I'm creating today's node. Just want to save this on Superbase. Okay, here I don't think I need this label saving or save just now. I will remove it. Also, I will keep only the delete icon. I don't need delete text, but that's not important. We can do this later. So this is the testing node. We have created our first node. Okay, now let's check Superbase entry. Refresh this table, and I can see my first node. So adding node is successfully working. Here I can see test. Now just a refresh, and yeah, added node is also working. Let's check the delete node. This cannot be undone. Let's delete this, and here I can see this node is now deleted from the nodes table. Means the core features like adding, editing and deletion of nodes is working. So Claude handled all the operations on Superbase by itself. Here we can also create new nodes. This is the search option. This is the profile tab. So this is the basic UI design that Claude created for this test application. I'm not serious about this test application. This application is only to explain you the core features of Claude Code and to tell you how you can use Claude Code in more better ways. So the main point of this whole course is to understand how we can use Claude Code, like how we can use their important features like hooks, like subagents, like custom commands, like skills, how we can use all of these advanced level features inside our mobile applications. So till today, we have completed custom agents, custom commands, custom skills. Also, in the next video, I am going to cover hooks. So stay connected and check the next video. So in the last few videos, we have covered so much in this course. Especially, we learned about skills and subagents, where skills help Claude to generate better code by following reusable instructions, and subagents help Claude to perform multiple tasks in parallel. But there is one more feature that can save you even more time while building real-world applications. That feature is called hooks. So what exactly are hooks? So think of hooks as automation action that Claude executes whenever a specific event occurs. So instead of asking Claude to perform the same task every single time, hooks let you automate that workflow. Now, at this stage, it is very important to understand the difference between skill and hooks. Say, skills are something you invoke manually. For example, you will invoke component skill when you want to create new component for any screen. Like here, you can see this is the skill folder and I have created number of skills. One skill is for new component, one skill is for new screen. So every time when you want to create a new screen, you can directly call this new screen skill. But hooks, on the other hand, are automatic. You don't invoke them. They actually run in the background whenever their configured event is triggered. In a simple way to remember it is like I can say that skill tell Claude how to do a task, whereas hooks tell Claude when to do something automatically. If you are building real-world React Native application, I highly recommend setting up hooks for your project because they eliminate repetitive work and also they ensure every code change follow the same quality standards. So now let's understand the code. Firstly, let me tell you the problem with a very common situation. See, everything when you start a new project in React Native, and suppose if you ask Claude to create a new login screen or any other screen, Claude generates that screen perfectly. But after that, we usually have to say like format the code, check the TypeScript errors, and also verify there are no import error in the file. So that's a very repetitive task we perform many times to maintain the code quality. So that's exactly why hooks exist. Hook allow us to automate these rep tasks. Whenever Claude edit a file, hooks can automatically handle everything. So now let's check the code and see if you are working with Claude, then inside every project, we have a .Claude folder. For example, in this project, I am working with Claude. So inside this project, I can see this .Claude folder, and inside this folder I have created these two JSON files, and I already added those JSON files. If you don't know, then check the initial videos of this course. I explained why I added setting.json file and setting.local.json file, but today we will focus on this setting.json file because this is where we define our hooks. So now let's look at the code and let's understand it step by step. Firstly, I am using here pre-tool use. This is the first hook and it runs before Claude edit any file. You can think of this as a security guard because this hook here uses a script, and this script check whether Claude is trying to edit files. Edit files means like .environment file, like Google service info paste or Google service.json file. And if Claude try to modify those files, because generally we don't push or we don't edit or do any stuff inside .env file or in those info playlist files or in such JSON files, we don't want to edit anything. So, but in case if Claude tries to modify those files, then this hook, pre-tool use hook, can stop it immediately. So this basically protects our project before any changes. Then there you can say matcher, and the matcher tells Claude when should this hook run. So when Claude perform create new file event or try to edit single files or multiple file, this matcher hook will run. Second, if you notice, then I am using post tool use. This is the second hook. Now imagine Claude successfully create a new React Native screen. The moment Claude finishes writing the code, this hook start automatically. We don't need to ask Claude to do anything. So here you can check there is a command npx write command. So what does this do? Say formats our code automatically with proper indentation, with consistent spacing, and provide cleaner code. Now no manual formatting required because we set this hook here. Then immediately after formatting the code, there is another command run automatically, and this is the command. This is the next command that run immediately after formatting the code. So this command checks our entire TypeScript project. Suppose if Claude accidentally find out a wrong type and a missing important files and an invalid interface, then we will know immediately because of this command. But now we never had to ask Claude to run TypeScript because this hook did it for us. I think now let's come back to the terminal. So here let's run a command. I'm just saying create a favorite screen, and now I just press enter. Here you will see that Claude uses skill new screen. This is the new screen skill that we have added under this folder, skill folder. Claude loaded this skill file. After that, you can see Claude also loaded supervised migration skill. I also added this skill file here. So, whenever Claude perform any supervised related stuff, this skill will automatically, loaded by the Claude. So behind the scene, what happened here? Firstly, pre-tool use hook will run, then sensitive files are checked, then Claude writes the code. After that, post tool use starts, then this script check the format of the code. Also, TypeScript validates the project. Claude asks me for the permission related to the supervised queries. Let's say yes. So here you can see everything happens automatically. So here Claude successfully created the favorite screen, and yes, type checks clean and lens clean. Claude highlights the hooks. Okay, so if we check favorite screen, then we can see that this screen is fully formatted, fully TypeScript file. So here you can notice that everything happens automatically behind the scene. Here Claude only highlights that the new screen is fully type checked and fully validate with the data types. So this is why hooks are so powerful, because now every time when we create any new component or any new screen, every time we get same quality screen or component. So whenever I am building React Native application, I always configure hooks at the beginning of the project, because I never want to remember a few things which are actually really matters a lot. But I knew that Claude can handle all of them automatically. So use hooks to automate your workflow. They reduce repetitive work and they improve the consistency, and they make Claude use inside the project more powerful. And Claude itself really behave like a real development teammate by performing tasks automatically behind the scene, especially for you and for your project. So create hooks, add hooks inside your project and automate your workflow. Okay, so Claude has created this new favorite screen for us. Now let's open the simulator. Just run yarn iOS, press enter. This is the favorite tab that Claude just created for us. So yeah, that's fine. But now let's check how Superbase behaves now, especially for this particular favorite screen. Does Claude handle nodes table, especially for this favorite screen? Let's go to the Superbase, and this is our nodes table. Open in table editor view, and here we can see is favorite column inside this table. So by using this boolean value or by using this column, we can handle the favorite screen. So that's fine. I guess now all the operations that belong to this new screen is automatically handled by Superbase MCP server. And if you are new to this channel, then you can go and watch my previous MCP videos to know how we add Superbase MCP server or any other MCP servers. You can understand in that video how we can add MCP servers inside React Native projects. Also, one more thing, while development, if your Superbase MCP connection failed due to any reason, then you can simply regenerate the new access token from the Superbase. Okay, now let's go back to the Superbase. Here you can regenerate the access token, but you will not find out that access token inside your project setting. You have to go under account settings, and here you can see the access token, and just tapping on generate a new token, you can regenerate the new access token for your project. And once you generate the new access token, just go to this file .mcp.json and paste your access token here, and that's it. Your Superbase MCP server again connected with Claude. So in the next video, I will talk about the plugins. So stay connected. So in today's video, I will talk about the plugins. In the past videos, we learned about skills, about sub-agents and hooks, and we also learned about custom commands. And each one solved a different problems. For example, skill helped Claude to generate better code, sub-agent allowed Claude to perform multiple tasks in parallel, and hooks automated repetitive workflows, whereas custom commands also useful to execute predefined workflows with a simple command. But there is still one limitation. Claude only knows now about the file inside your project. But what if your project depends on the tools outside your code base? For example, outside tools like GitHub, Figma, Jira, Superbase, Notion, Slack. So without plugin, Claude cannot directly interact with these outside services. So this is exactly where plugin come in. So think of a plugin as a bridge. It allows Claude to communicate with external tools and services. Instead of manually switching between different applications, now you can directly interact with the external tools, and Claude can perform all those relatable tasks for you. Now let's understand plugins with examples. Suppose you are building a React Native mobile application and your designer create a brand new screen in Figma. Normally, your workflow looks like this. You will open Figma, inspect the design, you copy colors, copy spacing, download icons, and then come back to Claude, then paste those screenshots and explain everything manually. And that's a lot of unnecessary work. If you connect Claude with the Figma plugin, then Claude can directly access all the designs that present in your Figma. Now you can simply say, build this screen from Figma. So obviously through plugin, Claude already has access to your Figma account. So Claude can access all the colors and the components and the spacing and the layout and all the information that present in the Figma account. Claude can access everything. So right now, by using a Figma plugin, your workflow becomes much faster. Now let's take another example. Suppose you are using GitHub without a plugin. You have to then open GitHub or GitHub desktop application. Mostly developers read PR, the pull request. They copy the code, paste it onto Claude, and they ask for a review. But with the GitHub plugin, if you are using GitHub plugin, you connected your Claude with GitHub, you can simply ask Claude to review my latest pull request. Then Claude fetches it directly and no copy pasting required anymore. Now some advantage through plugin we can get if we are using Supabase or Firebase in our project. Once you are done with your plugin connection, Claude can interact with your Supabase and Firebase project, and then everything Claude can handle by itself. If you connected these plugins, these database plugins, if you are using Supabase, then you only need to connect plugin of Supabase. After that, the table and the edge functions and anything else automatically Claude will handle. Claude will generate every query. Claude will handle everything for you. No manual work required if you are working with plugins. Also, one more important use case is, suppose your client report a bug. Normally, you would open Jira and in this case, you find tickets, you read the description, and then you come back to Claude, then you paste the issue. This is so much manual stuff. But if you simply connect Jira plugin, then you can simply ask, show me today's open bug, and Claude retrieve them automatically for you. Okay, so with all of these examples, I'm sure now you get understandings that plugins remove manual works, and instead of switching between multiple applications, Claude automatically communicates with those tools directly. Okay, now let's do some practical stuff. I will now show you how you can connect, let's say, Figma plugin into your project. So here, this is the official Figma installation guidance. Let's go down. So these are the steps that we should follow. This is the command that we have to run into our terminal. And once we run this command, after that, press enter. In the third step, we have to restart our Claude Code session. And after that, just type /plugin, then press enter. Okay, so firstly, let's copy this command and go back to our project. So here we can directly, paste this command into our terminal. But I think if we directly search plugins, just press enter. So here I can see that I can search the plugin, whatever plugin we want to use inside our project, we can search here. And in the next install tab, I can see my few installed stuff, like this is Supabase MCP is connected, yes, and these are the skills list, and these are created by me. Code review, this is another skill. So all these are custom skills, but there is one skill, this export deployment. We have not created this. We install this export deployment skill from, the community site. You can watch my previous videos. I explained how we can install external skills as well. Okay, so now go back to here. This is the marketplace errors. Okay, we don't need to check this. Right now, I am here under discover. I will search Figma, which I want to install. So here I can say Figma, press enter, and after that Claude asked me, you want to install for you or install for this project. So right now, okay, I want to install this for the local scope, press enter. It's saying that Claude installed Figma. Just run this command. Okay, it's showing me, it highlights that there is one plugin, 0 skills, 6 agents we have, and 1 MCP server we have. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's find out installed plugin. Oh, that's great. We have connected Figma with our project. See, if we installed a Figma plugin, which means we also configures the Figma MCP server for Claude Code. So now Claude will open our browser because we have to authenticate this Figma MCP server first. So just press enter and Claude will open your browser. Here we have to agree and allow the access. It says that authentication successful. So once you return to Claude Code, the plugin should show connected. Here you can say authentication successful and this Figma plugin is now connected with Claude Code. See, this Note application is only a test application. So obviously I have no Figma design for this particular Claude Code demo application. But I showed you here how you can connect Figma plugin inside your Claude Code. Right now, Figma MCP server, or you can say Figma plugin, is connected with your Claude Code. So you can right now connect with any of your Figma project. Just mention that, project name, that Figma project name here, and just say connect with this Figma project and then write down the name. And after that, you can see that Claude successfully connect with that Figma project. And after that, you can, create any Figma design. You can create any screen for your application, because right now, Claude can access your Figma designs. So you can do anything, whatever present in the Figma project, you can access everything inside this project. And in the same way, you can connect with other plugins as well inside your project. And once your plugin is connected, you can ask Claude, for example, here, if I have connected Figma plugin, then I can ask Claude that convert this selected Figma frame into a React Native component. And by this way, you can create any Figma screen. So once connection is done, you can assign anything to your Claude Code session. And one more thing, if you are failed or not able to install any plugin, then in that case, you can add them as a MCP server. I already created video on MCP server, which is very simple. You can check that under this YouTube course section. So in the and I must tell you, don't get confused between skills and hooks and plugins, because many beginners confuse in these 3 concepts. So let's make it simple. Only understand this, that skill tell Claude how to perform a task. Okay, I'm just going back to the presentation. So let's make it simple. Only understand this, that skill tell Claude how to perform task, whereas hooks tell Claude when to perform a task automatically. And now plugin tell Claude where to get information and use plugins whenever your project need access to use tools. Those are outside of your local project. So these are the advanced Claude Code features. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this video, then please hit the like button, and if you are new to this channel, then do subscribe for more related content. And if you have any doubt related to the video, then do comment. So happy coding and bye-bye.